Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. I'm your host, Hailey Rowe, and I help you get clients consistently, market your standout offers, build your business foundations like your messaging, your niche, your offer, and I help you build a sustainable, profitable coaching business that works with your schedule. And I'm so excited to dive into the show. Here we go. Guess what? I'm so excited to announce that my free private training sharing how to book paying clients consistently without posting more or needing a big audience is now live for an encore. You can check it out at haileyrowe.com/training. You get to learn more about the inner circle. You get to learn the behind the scenes of what I share with my clients and learn how you can get your next clients without needing to obsess with stressful launches, annoying tech, all that kind of stuff. So check it out and can't wait to hear how it goes for you.
Hey, you're in for a special treat today because I have one of my amazing clients, Allie, here, and she's going to be sharing a little bit about her journey as a health and wellness coach and what it takes to build it up and, you know, all the things. So I'm super excited to introduce her, and I'll let her just introduce herself real quick before we get into some questions.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Hailey. I'm Allie, and I am a holistic health coach. I went to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. I graduated 2021. And before that, I was a stay-at-home mom. I love my kids, but I really wanted, something that fulfilled me as a woman and, something that I was before I became a mom, which is actually what I coach a lot of my clients on too. But yeah, I came to Hailey because I just felt like I was going in so many different directions, and I'm 43 and I want this to be a career. I don't want to waste time. And I just figured I needed to hire somebody that could just sort of streamline me into one direction versus, so many opposing directions.
Totally. Well, thank you for sharing that. And you are a blast to work with and a lot of positive energy. And I want to ask you, like, when you said that you were feeling kind of in so many directions, what were some of the things that you were confused about, or like all the different directions you were going in, like before we started working together?
Oh my gosh. Well, comparison is like the thief of all joy. And so, going to school and following other health and wellness experts, and, you just compare your beginning to somebody else's, middle or end of the story. And so I just thought I had to do all of these things right away. I had to do them perfectly. I would get so frustrated with myself that I didn't know technology, that I didn't know how to do this. I didn't know how to do email. And then I also, underneath my health coaching, I also run workshops for young girls on mindset and confidence building and all those things. And I was working on that and trying to build my business, and I run 5-day resets. And I just needed to be streamlined and have somebody really tell me what's actually important and where I should be right now, because, your mind could spin and you could think that you need to be 10 steps ahead when really your next right move is right in front of you, and you just need somebody to just tell you what to do. And that's what I needed. I just needed somebody to tell me what to do.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, and it's so overwhelming. I always say this, part of why I do what I do is because I want to help women and new business owners learn that they can have an internal locus of control, that they can learn new skills and they can do the things they set out to do and create the results they want. But a lot of times clients come to me not really seeing themselves as an entrepreneur yet. They just see themselves as a coach. And so it's very overwhelming to step into that role. And it's very easy to be swayed in many different directions when you're being told there's so many things you need to do as an entrepreneur. So thank you for sharing a little bit about that. And when we did start working together, what were some of the things that either got easier or more clear, or aha moments, or, anything that really was useful to you?
Well, so many things, but I guess, if we're going to start with new coaches, it was clarifying my niche and not thinking I can help everybody, and being okay with just really focusing in, and not just I kind of had an idea who I wanted to work with, but also just developing an actual like framework for my coaching business, which not only made it so clear for me, but it made me feel so much more confident talking about my business. Because I remember before I had Hailey, I would say, yeah, I'm a health coach, but it was like, and I knew in my head what I did, but it was so hard for me to verbalize it to people. But working with you, it really helped me clarify in my business, but also to help verbalize it concisely and confidently to other people. And it really made me want to talk about it more instead of just sort of like hiding behind it and not feeling proud. And it was just sort of like something I did on the side. So that was huge. That's the foundation of it all, honestly.
Yeah, nice. And then you had already had two things that you were passionate about when we started working together. One was obviously coaching, but the other one was you run these workshops, as you said, for girls. So tell us a little bit about how what we did in coaching together either helped you grow the coaching business or grow the resets you do or grow like the workshops. Like, tell me a little more about what was some growth you saw there?
Yeah, well, because of the confidence I had talking about my business, I put myself out there more. And with your coaching, you don't just coach, you also talk mindset too, which I really needed help with. I coached these girls on mindset, but I needed it myself, and I needed to know it was okay to talk about my business. I needed to go from thinking of my business as like a hobby that I did on the side, like a very expensive hobby, as they say, to having a CEO mindset and just having that mental shift and taking ownership of the decisions I make and, putting one step in front of the other instead of looking like 3 years down the road made such a big difference. So I'd say putting myself out there more in social media, contacting people in the community more to collaborate with, talking just to friends and family more about what I do. It was just the confidence and the clarity that really made a huge difference
Nice.
in those areas, I think.
Yeah, and I will always remember this because it made me laugh. Is one day you sent me a message in WhatsApp that was like, I had a discovery call. I sold it at the new higher rate. I almost went for the discount because I am so used to discounting my services, but I heard your voice in my head and I sold it. I was like, yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know how hard that was for me to do? I mean, I'm always just wanted, because I just feel like, again, I had the money mindset too. I was just like, I want experience. I always just wanted more and more experience. And so I wanted to throw in this extra thing at the last minute. And I know when we talked about this discovery call beforehand, you're like, no, like, don't do that. And I almost did, but I was like, nope. And you're right. I didn't need to, and she's doing amazing, by the way. Like
Yay.
She's doing amazing.
Yeah. So I know that a lot of my clients start not having really booked clients. And I think you booked some private clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you also grew what you have this sugar reset thing. So tell everybody about what that is and tell me about your recent launch with that and how that went.
Yeah, it's not just sugar, actually. It's a 5-day reset where we cut out basically gluten, dairy, sugar, processed foods, alcohol, caffeine for 5 days. And I provide clients with recipes and a whole like outline on what to expect during it's a detox, like a 5-day detox. And it went awesome. Like these resets are really, really beneficial. And I have people coming back time and time again to do them. And when we worked together, I had my highest reset attendance, which is amazing. And again, I think it just boils down to putting myself out there and I had to stop caring what other people thought. I had to stop caring about feeling annoying that I was talking about my business too much, because really nobody's paying that close attention to you and people forget. And for me, I had to realize that the people that wanted to hear from me will hear from me. And the people that don't want to hear from me are going to tune me out anyway. And so I had to keep reminding myself, like you say, like, think of the think of the women that need you. You know, if you're holding back, you're never going to help these women that actually could benefit from your services. So I had to just take myself out of the scenario and remember why I do this, and which is what I talk to my clients about. It's like, remember their why, remember why I'm doing this. And it's not about me, it's about helping other women. And so, yeah, that was great. It was a great mindset shift.
Yeah. So first of all, congrats on the reset signups and the client signups. And one of the other things that you did too, which was another point of nerves possibly for you, was being on your first podcast or doing your first talk. So tell me a little bit about what that was like for you and how you got over that fear.
Well, now I've been on 4. Like I've been on 4 podcasts and 1 coming up in March. And I would never have been on a single one if it wasn't working with you. So I was incredibly nervous, but I just had to, again, share from the heart and get over the fact that I was still a new coach, which you reminded me about many times. Like, it doesn't matter that you're a new coach. It matters like what the service you provide and the women you're going to help and how you're going to help them. And so I just had to keep reminding myself of that. The first podcast went so good, and which obviously gave me confidence to keep putting myself out there to go on other ones. And I think the secret for me was just finding newer podcasts also that didn't have like a huge audience or following, and didn't mind the fact that I was a newer coach too. So it was sort of like a win-win situation. And then just keep growing from there. So that was huge. I'm, you know me, I'm trying to get better with social media. Again, I'm taking your advice and I'm just putting myself out there more. But for me, I'm more about that authentic growth that is not controlled by an algorithm. You know, I'm really nurturing my email list, which is small still, but I'm growing that. And I want to be more authentic with like podcasts, things that have more of a longer standing, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. You know what I mean though?
Yeah. Longer shelf life. Yeah.
Yeah. Longer shelf life. Yeah.
Right. And that's, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
Yeah. And I'm super proud of you for, sharing your skills on shows. And I do get your emails still, and I love that. And you created a very good freebie when we worked together too, which I think deserves mentioning. So if anybody wants your freebie, we'll put that in the show notes or mention that at the end of this. But I think too, part of what I want to stress here is that like Allie, if she knows that, so 2 things. One, you started where you were. So in other words, you wanted to start with like, get some practice reps in on the podcast. So you started with some smaller shows. And I think it's important for people listening to be like, great, here's confirmation. You don't need to do a 360 overnight. Start with where you are and do like, what's the next level up, or what's the next logical step, or what's the next thing? And then it builds your confidence, like you said, and now you're on 4 and you're going for bigger ones and all of that. The other thing that you mentioned is, now I'm going to forget it. Oh man, I forgot. Oh, new coach thing. Okay. So Allie and I coached on this a lot because she always would say, I'm a new coach. And I'm like, you got certified 2 or 3 years ago. Like, at what point does it become you're not new anymore? And so now it's fun to see you like really owning your message and putting it out there. And I see your lives in your group and all of that stuff. So I'm just happy to see that. Now, what's one thing that you would say to somebody who maybe, because obviously coaching is an investment. And when you're a new business owner, it's not like you're closing high ticket sales every day, so that the investment doesn't matter. It probably does, right? So tell me what helped you, or like, what would you say to somebody who's hesitating or concerned about taking the leap of faith or that kind of thing?
Well, I would first ask yourself why you were even considering hiring a business coach to begin with, because there's obviously something there that sparks your interest or you feel like you need. And then I would also ask, which is what I ask myself, do I think I could get to where I want to be in the next 4 to 6 months without a business coach? And if you're ready to just have that accountability and ready to do the work and put in the time to see that exponential growth just in 4 to 6 months, that is worth it hands down. But if you're not, if you think you can get there without guidance from somebody that's been there, that's knowledgeable, that has literally an answer for every question I've ever asked, and a resource or document or video of some sort, I have to say that to you, Hailey, like literally every single question, whether it's on the group calls or the one-on-one, you have like the most thorough library of resources, of documents. Like there's literally something for every single question asked. So yeah, of course, I mean, you earn that. I mean, you obviously worked so hard. So I think if you think you can get there on your own, then you don't need one. But if you need that push and that accountability and somebody specifically answering questions, like I've been a part of I've invested in other coaching programs, but not like this. It's more like investing in programs, and you can get on like group calls and you can do homework on your own. But I really never did that. I thought I could get away with it and have my business take off, but I realized that I actually need that one-on-one accountability. And as a mom of 2, and my kids are finally in school full time, I had one little one at home last year. I didn't hold myself accountable. And so if you know that about yourself, and if you really thrive off accountability and having that one-on-one person to literally connect with on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis, that is priceless to me. Like I'd be kicking myself right now if I was in the same place I was when I contacted you over the summer and decided not to do it. I would be so mad at myself right now. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you and I agree. Like not everybody needs a business coach, but if we look at course completion rates, the statistics, it's like, and I have courses and I do try to do everything within my power to have people complete them. So like laying it out or sending reminder email, like I try to do that, but the statistics on courses is like 11% of people finish it or something like that. And it might've changed. I don't know, but that's what I've heard before. And I was like, uh-oh, I want people to actually complete work with me. So that's why I do group as my main thing and private coaching as my main things compared to just courses only. So why I encourage a lot of my clients to do the same too. But obviously courses can be great for people. Like I am somebody, if I buy a course, I do complete it. Like I have no issue. I actually I'm a course person. And so I'm one of those few people who's like, I've done every module and I'm using it. Now I can't say I'm super fast at completing it, but I do use it. But some people just aren't like that. So one of the other things I want to ask you is, what would you say was either like some highlights that you liked about the program, or you liked about the style of coaching, or you liked about the resources, anything like that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that when you do private coaching, you also have access to the group coaching calls too, that are recorded, that you can go back and watch whether you miss it or not, and you get 2 a week. I love that you are so up to date on, even though I'm not a big social media person, I'm getting there, and you are up to date on all the latest trends, and you're so knowledgeable about, VA help and all the little things like that. Your library is, like I said before, super thorough, and it goes in order of, how you should be, getting your work. So if you are more of a course person, like you're in a gold mine right there. And, your personality I really work well with. And so that's a huge bonus too, is that we work really well together, and, and you don't bat an eye. Like there's nothing that, like, I felt very confident working with you because you are just very confident in your ability too. And so, like I said, like every question, and I'm not saying like you don't ever not have an answer, but like you really do have a resource or, a document or a video or something. Like you have covered the gamut on business coaching, in my opinion.
I appreciate that. And it's just because I get to work with clients like you who ask the questions. So then I'm like, I know this comes up all the time. I need something for this. But yeah, and one thing I want to share about why I love working with Allie is with my clients, I always say, I can't read your mind. So if you communicate with me, hey, I'm stuck on X, or hey, what do I do next? I don't know what to say to this person, or I had this situation come up. What do I do? And you were really good, Allie, about like, hey, I have this workshop coming up and I don't know what to give as my call to action. Can you give me some guidance? Or, hey, I put this flyer together. Like, you were doing the work and you're like, is this too long or what? And so I was always able to be like, okay, let's do this, or, give you feedback because we had that open communication. So one thing I would say is, if you're listening to this and you don't know what you need, that's okay. Because like, we start with, as you know, we go through the foundations, we go through marketing, we go through sales, and I can suss out like where you're at and what you're needing. But when you have little situations come up or little blocks, communication is really key. And you were very good about that. And so we were able to get, stuff done because you were reaching out and using the program.
Well, I should say, not to interrupt you, but I should say that was another benefit too, is that I was able to contact you in between too, which is a huge help. And I'm glad you said that, because that's just my personality. It's not that you ever made me feel that way, but I always felt that I'm like, oh, I don't want to text her in between, but like you were on it. Like you respond so quickly and so genuinely. And if you can't, you let me know, you're going to get back to me later. And it's like always a very thorough and sincere and thoughtful response. It's not like a really quick, this is what you do. Like it's you I can tell you take time in your thoughts and how you respond. So I appreciated that too.
Thank you. So tell everybody what is next for you, what you're excited about these days, any fun stuff that's going on for you right now.
Yeah, well, I just wrapped another reset and that went awesome. I'm working with a couple clients and I'm just trying to grow that side of my business. I'm also, now that it's approaching camp season for all the moms out there, like now is the time we start registering our children for camp. So I need to start thinking about my workshops for the girls, and I'm actually going to expand them to boys too. In fact, I've reached out to my children's school to see if I could start like an after school club there next year, because they just started doing that this year. So I thought maybe that would be a good idea to do. And then I think that might help my private coaching business too. So I have, just some nuggets.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm working on some things. Yeah.
That's exciting. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you. And I will say, doing those workshops for those youngsters, that's a hard job because you're marketing to the parents to sign their kids up, but you're also trying to have kids who are in that stage of life where maybe they don't want to listen that much. So I have to give you a lot of credit for that you've successfully booked people into those workshops, young people into those workshops and are changing their confidence and their self-care habits at such a young age. I always wish that I would have started learning about that stuff younger instead of when I was like, oh, wow, I guess I was not an athlete as a child. So I had to realize I needed to move my body and stuff at some point. So I wish I would have had something like that back in the day. But anyways, okay, Allie, where can people find you, connect with you, and, check you out?
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's funny you say that, Hailey, because that's exactly why I run those workshops. And it is hard to market. It is hard, just because I just don't like promoting myself. But I also, again, with your guidance, I just keep taking myself out of the equation and saying, this is why I do it, because I wish there was something like that for me as a kid. And I just really think it's super important. So anyway, thank you again. But yeah, you guys can follow me. I'm at A Healthy Her Way on Instagram. I have a private Facebook group called A Healthy Her Way. My website is ahealthyherway.com. Pretty much, if you just type in my name, also Allie Nagley, you'll find me. But love to connect. If you guys have any questions, feel free to, private message me anywhere. and I can answer any more questions you have.
Cool. Yeah, thank you so much. And I think the big takeaway too here, everyone, is that when I've had clients on the show, they all have different marketing methods and paths. So it's not like a one size fits all, like everybody in my program must do TikTok or you're out, you know? And like, it's all about finding your personality with what you're going to stick to, with, are you looking for a long-term or short-term strategy, with how much time you have, like all of these things will play a role on which marketing method we're going to work on together. So I just want to keep like remind everybody, if you're comparing yourself and thinking like, well, Allie does local workshops, so that has to be my thing. Or like, you know, Allie doesn't do Instagram as much, so maybe I shouldn't be doing, like, that's not what I want you to take away. What I want you to take away is there's so many paths. It's just about getting focused on which one or ones are going to be the ones you're going to stick with. And if you're stuck on that because you don't know like the pros and cons and the timeline and all that stuff, that's where I can help you and where you can reach out to me. So thank you again, Allie, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this podcast. And if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.